Why does suffering exist? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Have you ever tried to answer it? Here's my stab. In every corner of the planet, life is vying for control. The interests may be mere infantile happenstances, or the delicate embryonic journey of a flying tome, where one finds message and belief. One detects the carapace of institutions, 1,000 fruitless yet enthusiastic crusades. Suffering occurs in lieu of redeeming innocence. What is the natural state of a baby except inquisitive bafflement, which in its own way can be construed as a form of dominance? How much attention has been warped through a simulation of the unquestionably valuable thing? This belies an assumption of extensive manipulation. One question that bears upon the subject is, at what cost does understanding come? What is a man to do when he discovers aloneness in his existential concerns? To what dreamy and forlorn possibility can an individual ululate themselves as being a kind of expert upon loneliness? What is the most complex value imaginable, and how are its dimensions formatted? By exceptional reasoning. A wandering mind is able to breathe, and what is exchanged in coffee shops or jazz lounges proves more random, thus openly rich, than regimentation. Originality computationally surpasses the plodding expectations of logistics, don't you think? Leaps are made by the restless. Balancing tables ignore chaos and hence produce suffering when humans try to measure what is unmeasurable. Filtering effects ensure what is lost in translation. That is to say that within the shifting hierarchies of value distortions, as corresponding to the necessary adaptations depending upon circumstance, that what is unique or individual or bright or true or divinely aggressive, if you will, is stigmatized by those who, for one reason or another, cannot summon the energy. And how does boredom strike the unprepared, so entrenched in rites of passage that nothing intimidates enough? How exactly does a person awaken to the beauty of this day? If both the process and object are implicitly incalculable, the statement negates itself insofar as parabolic ambiguities exist or are concerned within definable loops which have alternating lengths of finality and beginnings. But if the goal pursues a brooding subjectivity, one may discover an analog to the birth of creation. If it is granted that miracles exist within the eye of the beholder, then what is to be said of perceiving faculties in all their glory? Traveling for any length into human abysses, one may discover a basically unconscious fickleness. What is the distinction between love, pampering, and indulgence? All judgment seems to invoke the necessity of certainty, which may induce the anthropomorphization of errors to defy radar, hiding murkiness for trades of expediency. This looks to be a primary operation of life. Keep moving, notwithstanding blindness. What if participation emancipation is appropriate kindling for those who have been mauled or hustled or deprived by the messianic and moronic web of human customs? What if the idea of event chains appeals partially due to the similarity of fear trajectories wrapped into hallucinations of how easy or difficult it may occur to be forgotten or remembered? Hence, the possibly undecidable role of chance in existence haunts the susceptible imagination. Charade is broadly painted as the attempt at contradiction, and therefore may lead to existential numbness. Who strives for accountability may tingle and rupture inner darkness only to commingle various methods of light perception. How does a witty excelsior maverick experience suffering? To be competent yet nonchalant is to delay ravaging the metaphysically orgasmic apex experiences until thought flows, as exactitude harbors an element of the sardonic. Self-control abets its own mesmerism. Portfolios of thought are like calcified impulses which embed yet never detach their sound nomenclature origami vibrato. To will life, one inherits electricity. Hence, unpredictability is not a ragged superstition only, but crazy axiom, exalting mythology and potentially the best within ourselves. Gifts precede the moral conundrums devised to harness their understandability, which fractures energy and leads to suffering. Rule orientation via the customized hubris of instruction manuals duly addresses lowest unified base, yet in optimizing efficiency jilts substance. Philosophical questions of this kind loop into premises emphasizing the power of artifacts upon human minds, how deceased wills influence the living by folding aspects of existence into calculated organization. Suffering in broad eclipse may trigger avalanche or dissipate its own product, which could, fundamentally, harness weights of opposing tension. The love of yearning and the necessity of grounding. Who does not comprehend a principle fails to remove it or, by consequence, lighten the burden of existence. If possibility and practicality align, states of happiness readily ensue. Assuming limitations with rugged forethought inspires motivation. What is life if one's mettle goes untested? How can daring monsters be slain if true nature buries itself amidst pragmatic or healthy illusions only to ferment an idiosyncratic status quo? Here, one steps to a new ladder, which represents the engineering of pain by comfort. That series of incremental rewards encourages a domesticated retinue of behavior is patently obvious. The sense of autonomy ventures far when not interrogated or hemmed into old, micromanaged corners of human justification. The avatars of consciousness dancing with iterations of probing homunculi engender trials which may occasionally possess reason fissions and mind shadows that wilt or walk if deeply coordinated by value junctures. Actors die, but stories have no expiration, and objects are infinitely malleable regarding interpretation. Life worships itself by means of hidden fortitude and spontaneously blooming clouds in the realm of mind. To be on guard lest what is precious be siphoned or relinquished is the function of vigilance, which could be a placeholder enjoying the future of wealth or irrepressible trait of enlightened nomads. What is the upkeep of awareness in regard to suffering? If an entity is to afford liberty by token of daunting beauty, surely exotic infiltration usurps the haggard nakedness of a weed. If there can be little reconciliation of effort and ugliness, maybe only very weak fruit is produced. Somewhere between insensitive modification and complete annihilation is the twilight zone of surreal yet delicate limbo against which blueprints hazard maps to refine the course of evolution. Is it better to hold out for a promise which transcends definition yet offers no clue to its nature, or to suckle the known honeypot and feed life enterprises in which all members grasp roles articulately to foster omnipresence? As strictly political units within a colony, organisms can forget about losing interest in life and escaping developed morality. Mental illness is a loaded term which shames the practitioners of alternative tongues, hidden dialects, unyielding apathy, and unmitigated restlessness. The hive as geometrical structure drives itself towards perfection, which is to mean a central engine free of weakness. Ailing, dithering, skeptical, evasive, innovative, or obnoxiously virtuous club undertakers of the bigger picture are zealously drawn as reflections of hive headquarters. What room for individuality? Whatever suggests breaches of conformity to the stockholders of establishment is perceivable as a wrench in the machine. And here is why life suffers. Inheriting a means to expression, yet vulnerable to blanket and exposed judgments, caution assumes its necessary position as guardian of ideals. No explanation cures by word only, and despite struggling for eons to grapple with mastery, it is only those aspects of reality for which there are no substitutes that do justice to human nobility. Defining phenomena is like offering a box, which for the clever may become a window, and for the inscrutable may seem a paranoid quandary dismissed to solipsistic remonstrance. Yet, the visual orchestration of meaning is truly uncanny, like a fine and eternally speculative wine.